And the stereotype that black people are savages. Meanwhile, the data reflects that if we're going to be racist, which race in this nation acts like a savage? You get what I'm saying? If we're looking at the data, if we're looking at crime statistics, if we're looking at the first-hand experiences, if we're looking at the videos of the mass looting, mass shooting, mass street takeovers, and that savage behavior, what race do you normally see? Were white people ever savages like that? Yeah. Guess who got their shit together? It's valid to be afraid of those kinds of people. If you are, for example, I'm afraid of anybody that looks super hood, super like thuggish. Like, it doesn't matter if it's black, white, blue, brown, I don't care. So if I see a black man in a suit, I'm not going to bat an eye. That's real racism. It don't matter who it is. If you see a black man in a suit, a black thuggish person, black middle class looking person, and you're scared of all three of them, you're just afraid of the color brown. But I'm scared across the board. It don't matter. The hood and the trailer park. I don't want no part of it. But what is this girl talking about?
Afraid of and estranged from your own people, you falling for the trick of the enemy. But for the people you should really be cautious of, you code switch. You adopt their morals, their behaviors, their values, their religion. You have no problem with assimilating into their world. But hood people are where you draw the line.
Because it's the...
Yeah, he doesn't have any problem with assimilating. He said that was one of his points at the beginning when he said we need to assimilate. Like, diversity is fine if we're assimilating into the culture. And there's a portion of me that agrees with the point of when it comes to immigration, right? So if you're migrating to a country, if I'm migrating to another country, I am going to have to learn the language. I am going to have to learn the cultural norms. I am going to have to learn how to contribute properly in society. And I probably, depending on what country I go to, I may even have to follow their religion and their religious practices and things. So, yes, to some extent, I actually do agree that when you at least go into another society or country, you are assimilating to a sense. And there's a lot of assimilation that we've done as a people and that we continue to do. However, that's where you get a little, there's kind of like a fine line, right? So you should be bringing some of your own culture. You should not be anti your own culture now that you're in another country. So that's where I think it's very difficult for people, and it's a deeper conversation that we need to have, because there can be some fear when you're in a society and everything's going great and things are nice and whatever you built is fine, and then someone joins and they're trying to change everything, and it's not changes for the better or changes that you would welcome. But we would have to have a deeper conversation about that. Anywho, y'all don't want to hear from me. Let's listen to Amir.
The white people world that are for... If you want...
This is the thing too. Like I kind of agree with her. I kind of don't. The history we can't deny. I don't think we should be afraid of our own people. But you should be cautious going into the hood. I think the issue that I have with his statements, it makes it seem like every person in the hood is dangerous. No, there's a percentage of people, I would say a small percentage, having been a person that has lived in the hood. There's a smaller percentage of people that are terrorizing these neighborhoods and control them. And anytime you go to that type of environment, it's very difficult for the people there. They have to even assimilate into that culture themselves. So now, even though they're soft-spoken naturally, now they have to be more hood. Look at New York. Look at the women there. I went to New York, and this man, he made this comment to me, like, I know you're not from here because you're so soft and da-da-da. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm just like, well, I guess if I grew up in New York City as a woman, I wouldn't be so soft. I would not be soft. At least I would have to portray a hardness to me, right? It's similar to when I'm in spaces where I feel unsafe and I start getting RBF real bad. It's real bad. There's no smile in sight. I am mean, mugging everybody because I am putting off this portrayal of protection, right? Hardness, don't mess with me. Meanwhile, if I'm in an area where I'm safe, I get to be soft and I get to relax. It's kind of the conversation of Black women, how Black men have been critiquing Black women for not being soft. Meanwhile, we have these hoods that certain Black men are terrorizing, and there's violence everywhere. And so how is anyone going to be soft in that environment? How is a woman supposed to be her softest self in that type of environment? So it's that type of situation. You have to look at the environment. And with that environment, I would say it's a small percentage of people that are committing crimes. And honestly, people are not going to like this take. I'm sorry. But the whole criminal reform, like people getting released and then going back for committing the same crimes, that shouldn't be happening. Why are people committing dangerous, violent crimes? I'm not talking about stealing. I'm not talking about selling a little something. I'm not talking about that even though that's bad. Violent crimes. So they did this violent thing, and then you're going to let them out again? Back into the same neighborhood so he can terrorize those people again. Again, these are deeper conversations. And so let's just continue.
Here we go. If you want a Black world, move your ass to Africa. Go ahead and click-clack with our cousins. Go ahead out there and go be with them. Because this world that was created in America that we have right now, it's lit. I like it. I love it. I love it. I really do. I enjoy being here, and I want to keep it this way, and I want to assimilate into our envision of what a just society looks like. Talking about I should be afraid of Caucasian people, but not Black people. And when I look at the data,
so that was a point I don't think I agree with. This is the thing. Obviously, we have biases. They're there to protect us. So all of us are going to have biases towards people. And it can be anything from someone's race to how attractive they are, how unattractive they are, how big they are, how small they are, all of these things, right? Even to what they're wearing, right? So I'm more so focused on that. I'm looking at different signals, right? That should tell me you're welcoming me or you're not. Right? I'm looking at what you're wearing. I'm just looking at a lot of different factors. This is normal. And I don't think that's wrong to do so. I'm not looking at white people and going, oh my God, I'm afraid of you. You're going to do, I'm not looking at every white person like that. But if a white person comes in a certain location, they look a certain way that by the media has portrayed them to not like Black people, well, yeah, I might have some fear. And if more of those people are presenting themselves, I'm going to be more cautious with them. The same with Black people. I'm not mad at a white person that looks at someone that looks like they are a gang member and then being afraid. That's probably natural. It probably means that your senses are working correctly. You have your senses and they are working to protect you. But to his point, I actually have to agree with him. If you're looking at a Black person and one is in a suit, one is dressed like a rapper, and then the other is dressed like maybe they look homeless, and you feel the exact same about all of them, and you're afraid about all of them, and you have the same stereotypes, well, that's a you problem. That's you have a prejudice against that person because of their color. Even in the Black community, if you're looking at an array of women and you're saying, oh, let's say they all look the same. It's the same face. It's just we used AI to make different skin tones. And let's say you go, oh yeah, these over here are pretty because they're light. These on this side aren't because they're dark. You would have a prejudice, right? And that's something else that we can talk about more. But this video is getting long, so I want to just get through what his points are.
Most likely to be harmed and killed in a black hood. This don't make no damn.
No, that's true. There's a reason why black people want to get out of the hood. It's because certain black people, a percentage, and I would say a smaller percentage, are terrorizing the neighborhood. So they're going to go out of that neighborhood either to a really nice black community without those people and far enough away for those people not to go there, or to likely a white neighborhood that's also nice. And this is something that I do think a lot of folks think about when they see black people join the community. It's kind of like, well, what are they going to bring with them? Who are they're fine, but is their cousin okay? Is their boyfriend okay? And so, these neighborhoods and people, they will do some snooping. I think black people need to do that more and focus on their neighborhoods and who is moving into that neighborhood. I really wish that was something that we could do. But to his point earlier, if we don't trust each other, then how are we going to do that en masse?
In sense.
I think that ghetto people are having a very proper response to the conditions in which they've been subject to living. Food deserts, poorly funded schools, and we won't even start on what's being taught in these schools. Poor housing, low paying but back-breaking jobs, with poverty being as expensive as it is. And all of it is by racial and systemic design.
Ooh, that part. Poverty is expensive. That is a word.
It was. A lot of it was done by design, by racial and systemic issues. I get it. But no, like it's so weird to me. It's like,
that's so weird to me. So he will admit that, and yet he's making videos like this. He will admit that these have been set up and have been by design, yet he's going hard on the community. I think I want to understand better his intent of making this type of video and titling it as such. Why most stereotypes about black people are true. Maybe it's solely to get eyes on it, and he doesn't want it to have a negative impact. Like maybe he's being honest in that. I just question it.
Knowing that exists, yes, we should try to fix that and improve on it. But there's literally nothing stopping you from getting out of that scenario. There's plenty of people that crack the code and get out the hood. And we can't be...
Wait, there's nothing stopping you? Did you not hear did you not hear the conditions? Violence, right? Lack of opportunities, lack of resources. It is very difficult to get out of the hood. I don't think we should be disingenuous about that. I recognize that I had certain privileges due to starting in a neighborhood that was relatively good, with a good education system, where when I did shift, we had to move into an area that was in the hood with not as good of an education system. I had the basics down. Math, reading, writing. Again, I think those are essential. I had the basics on how to learn, how to think, all of that stuff. And so once I got to the school, there were 2 years where I was relearning stuff. And I even had a teacher, a white man. And again, I want to say, I'm not against any particular group. I just think we have to be honest and look at things full picture and not put one group on a pedestal, right? But he was really good. He was passionate about his job, and he called my mom continuously, trying to get her to push me up at least one level because I had already learned everything, because I started off in a better school system. She wouldn't do it. My mom has her own quirks about her, I guess I can say, but some issues, and she turned it down every time. She had other teachers reaching out to her to get me to a different school. That's another conversation that I may have, but we're YouTube friends, but we're not that close. So I'll share a little bit, but I won't share too much. Anywho, I had that privilege of being from a certain environment. And I also was able to see a lot of the students that were in that environment the full time through the education system. And there is a lack. And so you can't say that there's nothing keeping you from getting out of the hood. Well, what are the methods for getting out of the hood, quote unquote? A lot of people see it as become a rapper, become a singer, become a stripper, one of those things, right? Stack your money and then bounce, right? Well, how are you going to make the money? A lot of these neighborhoods, people don't even have cars. They're relying on public transportation that only gets you so far, with the idea that you can only go so far. So with my nice neighborhood over here, these folks over here that are in the hood can't get out here to me, right? Very much a design, but while it is protecting certain people, it is impacting a certain group of people negatively, because they're making it makes it harder for them to get to those opportunities that they would make money outside of those 3 different areas. And of course, there's other segments, you can sell a little something that can put you in prison, or a host of other things that people see that are negative. So you're talking about positive things that people can do: go to school, get education, get a job, get a nice paying job. Well, if you don't have a car, you don't have resources, you don't have people that can help you, right? I don't have, maybe my dad has a car and can take me, which that was a privilege that I had. I was around people that could drive me when I didn't have a car, and then I was able to buy my own car with my own money. I didn't have that privilege, right? So I can relate to people. It is not easy to get out of these situations, especially, let's say, education has not done you right. Education has actually just wasted your time. So now you don't have the education basics that you would use to maybe go to college route, as a lot of Black people do. Next up, let's say you don't have any talent and you're ugly. Well, that limits your opportunities with being some of those different occupations that I mentioned before. Maybe you're too scary to sell a little something on the streets. That's gone. Well, I guess it's 2025. You become a streamer. Oh, wait, we can't pay for internet. And with streaming, you're going to have that high quality internet. So then what are people doing? I could get this job over here that's really nice paying, but I can't make it to the interview. And actually, we don't have an interview outfit. I did make it to the interview, but I didn't have the right outfit. And actually I did make it to the interview, but due to the education system that failed me, I don't speak as well as this other person. And so they got the job. Do you see where I'm getting? I'm using all these different scenarios that are very real. I'm not the one bringing the data to this. I've yet to see a lot of data. I've seen a lot of videos from him. But I'm just saying, this is my issue with the content so far that I've seen with Amir. It seems very surface level of, yeah, you could say, oh, these stereotypes are a little bit true about Black people. Sure. With any stereotypes about any person, you're going to find people that fit them. But to make that blanketed statement and not have a real conversation about what's happening, and then provide solutions, and then kind of write off different things like getting out of hood, you just need to get out of the hood, with what resources? And as someone that, started off well, went down, got back up, right? Due to parental decisions, I will say. But I had to work. I had to navigate, I had to network, I had to figure things out in order to get to certain levels. And I'm still doing it. I'm not somewhere chilling, laid back. No, yes, I do live a softer life, but that's kind of where it started. I wasn't out fighting for my life or anything. So it was short-lived. I can't say I'm an expert on the hood, but I've lived in environments, and I appreciate living in that environment for some time, because it taught me and also helped me to really see people. So when I hear this blanketed kind of statement of, people in the hood are bad, no, they aren't. These are real people, and they're trying to make it. And a lot of them are likely working for you in some form or fashion. Right? And so I don't even know. What were we even talking about? Let's get back to the video. I'm going off on a rant because I'm getting a little annoyed.
mad that why is it that we're upset that our neighborhoods are like this, or the hoods are like this, the trenches, the poor housing, the poor food, this is that and the other, but black folk are also so quick to leave and never look back. White folk, they
Okay, that part, because especially black men, this is all black men's court. Black men should be reaching back and really helping, and not just helping one or two or three people, but putting into place systems that can counteract what systems are already in place. I think we need more long-term thinkers and people that will take action versus men that are just getting on podcasts to say, this is what you need to do. We need people that are taking the actions, putting out their resources, like a Nipsey Hussle. I saw some of what he was doing, and that's someone that had vision, had plans, had a different type of thinking, and was trying to help people. But of course, with that risk of going back and reaching back into the hood, you have that likelihood of being taken out. Unfortunately, that is unfortunate. And so I can understand, with black men saying they're cautious around other black men, but it has to start somewhere. You just have to suck it up and do it. You just got to do it. You have to be a man and do it and just take the risk. Unfortunately, it's not great. It's not a great situation that we're in. But if you're someone that actually wants to make a real change as a black man, you have to do some things that are scary. That's just my take on it as a woman. So y'all don't have to listen to me, of course. But I'm hearing what he's saying, but also I can see a lot of what needs to get done. It's just we need more men that are willing to risk their life to get the stuff done. And that's one thing I will give to white men. From what I've seen in history, when it comes down to it, this is not putting them on a pedestal, but this is just real life. In history, you've seen white men in general, they are willing to risk it all to get that thing that they want. And so we need that type of thinking in the black community if you want change. Things don't change when you keep doing the same thing and you keep thinking the same way. And you think short term versus long term. We've got more time. I'm going to try to, but it's really tough.
They reinvest in their neighborhood. They reinvest in their private schools. They reinvest in their community, in their morals. They reinvest in what's around them. Majority of black people did. They just leave. These black rappers have all this money to pour back in the community. Some do. And the black rappers, they do them Thanksgiving turkey drives. They do. They definitely do. But all these RICO charges.
He just said the turkey drives. I don't know. It's so funny. We need more than turkey drives. But yes, I get what he's saying. I agree.
And drugs, gangs, just spend all the money on the fancy clothes and jewelry and this, that, and the third, instead of just buying the block, buying the corner stores, putting in.
Thank you. Okay, fine. I have to agree with him on this. And this is where the black churches come in. This is why I get so annoyed with black churches. Why are you not buying that block? And I don't care what the cost is. Y'all got it. Buy the blocks slowly. Have a vision. Work with other churches and get it done, or black men get some groups together and get it done in every state. That is, in my mind, that's how I would do it. You would have to start getting that infrastructure in control in order to make changes. And you talk about the criminal system. Like, listen, at some point, you're going to have the police put some people away. Their thinking is off. It's not right. And they have to go. You have to remove the riffraff to let everyone else thrive. But what I see is more of black men that are willing to speak up, take up for the men that are doing all the crime. And it's like, no, get them out of there. And then everyone else can have a peaceful, thriving life. There are plenty of black men doing things on the up and up, doing things right, trying to get by. And you know what happens to them? What happened to Nipsey Hussle when they try to, help other people. And so you have to get rid of them. But the problem is the men that have that strength and that gusto and that, I'm willing to do whatever to get mine. They're the quote unquote violent ones, right? turn them around, get them on your side, make them the police officers. I don't know, but you have to change that. And some people, you have to recognize, some people are just not going to change. Some people will, but there's a segment of a population where they're not going to change. And they will keep doing things over and over and over, and they don't care who they have to take out. Get some mental health stuff going on in these communities. But also mental health is only going to go so far because, one, some people are too far gone. They're just too far gone. Others aren't consistent with what they need to do and the work they need to do when it comes to mental health. And yeah, let's continue.
Restaurants, we can take personal responsibility somewhere. We really can. And while these neighborhoods and the cool things that have happened to Black people has been by design, there's nothing stopping me today from being the change that I see fit, from being successful, from getting out those scenarios, from being successful in fixing up those areas. There's nothing stopping any Black person from doing that. There is yes, it is easy because people want to say, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I get it. If you're a 10-year-old with no father, your mom's struggling, barely raising you, just giving you Tyson chicken nuggets because she's too busy working 2 jobs and trying to have fun and trying to remain her peace so she don't go crazy. And you can go out in the corner and flip a key and make racks, make thousands of dollars, or pick up a book, get good grades, then go to college, then get a job, this and the third. It's easy to go outside and make them racks and flip them keys. I get it. I see that perspective. But at what point are we going to change that behavior? At what point are we really going to start encouraging, hey, be a doctor, be a lawyer, stay in school, don't be out there in the streets? Because we always, look at Zeus Network. We glorify the rappers. We glorify the...
Okay, but this is the thing. Be a doctor, be a lawyer. My mom tried to condition me the hardest to become a lawyer. And that's how I started out my schooling in college. I was pre-law, and after talking to lawyers about 5 times out of a week, I decided not to go that route. Needless to say, a lot of the lawyers I spoke with were not living happy lives and did not have great things to say about the law fields that they were in. But yes, parents can say that, but also I would have also been the person taking on the debt to go to law school myself. And so we can say that, but what you have to think about in these other communities that really do push for these type of educations is that they also provide the resources, they provide help. So it's more of that thinking switch with Black people. I agree with him. You have to switch that thinking because a lot of Black people are thinking, and I've heard it from myself on YouTube actually. So someone was talking about giving back to their children or, leaving something for their children. Why am I giving back to my children? But they have to get it out of the mud like I did. No, that's not why you have children. Why are you having children if you want them to get it out of the mud? And it's like, think about yourself. Would you have rather have been raised into a family that had resources for you and you had plenty of opportunities to do whatever you wanted, right? In terms, anything good that you wanted to do? Or would you have liked to get it out of the mud yourself? That is crazy thinking to me. Now, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to prepare you. I'm pouring into you up until this age. You're going to have something set aside for you at a certain age. But in between that time, you're going to have to work because I want you to learn the value of work. Fine. That's very different than how a lot of these folks are talking. And I don't agree with it. It's like if you choose to have a child and you have a nice life and you have things that you can provide for them and you can provide for yourself, you can pour into yourself, of course, but you have the obligation to pour into that child.